So this is Rob Berman from the Plus Four podcast. I'm going to show you now a map of the Pillmore Links, which is today known as the Old Course at St. Andrews. This map is from 1821, obviously surveyed and hand-drawn. I wanted to look at the Old Course from the 1820s and compare it to today. So if we zoom in a little bit, we'll notice a few quick things here. Number one, we can see if we look at my mouse that the tee box is here still today to some degree. We'll talk about that in a minute. This is the Swilken Burn. We'll look at that in more detail in a few minutes. Over here was the Strathyrum Estate, which was the home to the Cheap family. The Cheap family at the turn of the century in the 1800s were the owners of the Old Course. So this was all estate land. Today, the Eden Course and other golf courses, which you'll see in a minute when we overlay the modern golf holes. Now, we know that this estuary was filled in quite a lot to create, in fact, the first hole, the tee box, et cetera, et cetera. We'll see that in a few minutes. But what you'll notice here is the routing of the course in 1821. So it played to the now familiar 17th green. So when they talk about the Old Course in reverse, the course in 1821, I believe at this time was 10 golf holes. It played out here along the road, and then it went up into this sort of candy cane shape and presumably came back. I'll talk to Roger McStravick about that in the podcast, but I'm just going to post this video for the sake of listeners so they can tune in and have some context once they hear Roger talk to me about this. Now, what I have overlaid here that you can't see is a transparent map of Google Earth. So let's pay attention right here to this triangular shape. This on the map says F-E-U-S. Feus was the term used for a permanent leasehold land. And those of you that have been to the Old Course will remember this little triangular shape is where all of the shops are. Old Tom's shop is here, and there's homes and private residences here that extend all the way to this little triangular corner. Let's focus on that triangular corner for a minute as I bring in the 2024 view of the Old Course. So I'm just going to bring it up in terms of opacity. And there we see it. There's that triangular shape from Golf Place over here down to this corner, which is, I believe, called Granny's Wind. I'm going to bring that down again so we can see it. 1821 with that permanent leaseholder space, obviously filled in then as well as now with permanent leaseholder facilities. The other thing that's fascinating to look at is the Swilken Burn here. It's got a very interesting curve to it. We're all familiar with it. Again, 17th green is right here, and the road is here. Let's look at the Swilken Burn for a minute, and let's compare that to the modern day map. Absolutely perfect match. So you can see the burn flows out to the estuary there. Here it is in 1821. Here it is in 2024. So a perfect match, beautifully done. The reason that I wanted to overlay this map for my own sake was to understand the landfill that was done. Obviously, we know that they filled in all of this area in the estuary in order to develop the first hole and the teeing grounds and to put the clubhouse in and various other things in about the mid-1800s. So let's just look at how wide and how broadly that estuary was filled in. Here it is in 1821. As I bring it up here, you'll see the modern day outlines of that estuary in the ground. Here's the first hole here. You tee off here, you play down to here, and you cross the burn, and here's the first green. So you can see that outline of the landfill area is quite significant compared to what it was in 1821. The estuary would have come up practically to the 18th hole. And what we now know today is the Valley of Sin, and what today is the 18th green. So here it is again. That whole entire first hole there you see, it's all filled in after the mid-1800s. The other fun thing to do here is to look at the road. So we know that famous road. Again, the estate was all here. This is today the Eden Course and other golf courses. Let's just watch the lay of this road and how it compares to today. I'm going to bring that opacity up. There it is. It's perfectly matched. It's an incredible continuity with the travel routes from the 1820s. Now, of course, there's tons of development in the modern era. Remember back then, this was all estate grounds and probably fallow fields and agricultural land. Now there's infrastructure and university property and other things there. What's fascinating to me when we look at this 1821 map, though, is to take a look at the routing. So I'm going to zoom out here just for a minute so we can see this better. Again, the tee off back in 1821 was here, teed off to what is today the road hole. But you'll see the routing of the golf course goes this way, and then this way, all the holes being named, the Cartgate hole, the hole across hole, et cetera, and it curves around here like a candy cane. Based on this map here that has the yardages for all of the holes, it appears that there were 10 golf holes in 1821, and they've laid out the distance, the longest one being about 200 yards. But you see this very uncommon shape for the layout of the links back in 1821. Take a look at what happens when we look at Google Earth. Now, this is not a perfect match because we're looking at a hand-surveyed map versus a satellite photograph, but I'm going to bring up the modern 2024 view. Isn't this fascinating? That same outline is still here. What's fascinating is this layout is still technically the boundaries of this plot of land, obviously clearly today. It's just an incredible match. The last thing I was curious about is just the total estuary and how it's changed over time. This, of course, could happen because of natural phenomenon, but you can see the estuary on this map ends about here. And you can see in modern day era, it goes out a little further, but again, that could be largely because of natural forces. I suspect the hand-drawn map and today this should match up, but it's not a perfect match because we're dealing with human nature and photography, which are slightly different. Anyway, it's a fascinating look back to the 1820s, and it would be fun to plot these holes and understand this routing and exactly where those holes went in 1821. Not a complicated thing to do. I just thought it would be fascinating to overlay it with this 1821 map. Thank you for tuning in.